Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And this morning, Sampath, the CEO of Consumer Group, presented at BofA, Bank of America, 2024 Media Communications Entertainment Conference. I'll leave a link to this in the description so you guys can check it out. I watched the entire presentation, and price increases are on the way. He made that clear during the presentation. He said they are dealing with an inflationary environment and they will make pricing adjustments. He just didn't give a time frame as to when. I fully expect this at the very beginning of 2025. They pulled a pricing lever again. He talked about it during the conference. He says their customers like paying the Verizon price because of the network, and this next price increase is going to drive more value with perks and with some additional C-band that they're going to deploy. They believe the C-band, which is going to bring more capacity, of course, is a value factor when the customer makes a buying decision. So that's a very interesting perspective. They keep changing their mind as well. So the one thing that they have really been consistent on is the pricing increases. They view an 80-20 split, right? 80% pricing, 20% volume. They're looking for about 20% volume organically growing. But then he goes on to say, we really aren't looking to organically grow at the cost of price. We rather lower churn we rather increase our net ad performance by lowering churn. So I don't know how they're going to do that, but something that he did point out that was interesting. Recently, Verizon spoke about convergence, right? Like it's not a big deal. We're barely at 10%. But then he goes on to say that in our base right now, where we're bundling, convergence, we are seeing a 50% reduction in churn on wireless and a 40% reduction on fiber, where we are able to converge or bundle, as they call it. So very interesting, right? He speaks on it completely different. If the churn rates are decreased by that much, you would think they would take convergence a little bit more serious. But he did go on to say that they will inform us at some point. He didn't call out an analyst day or another conference. He just told the person that soon they will update us on fiber expansion and where they're going to take FWA. I feel FWA is going to play a big factor in them being able to drive the convergence higher than the 10%. The bundling with FWA and wireless leading to a cheaper cost should help churn as well. And then, of course, the C-band deployment itself is also reducing churn. They have made mention of that in several quarters now, where they tell us in C-band markets where they have it largely deployed, they are seeing a reduction of churn versus markets that don't have C-band. So that's also an important factor in all of this. So this is very interesting, right? Verizon still doesn't seem quite like they have a set strategy. Some executives talk about bundling or convergence, and they view it as not a big deal. He says it's leading to a drop in churn. That's a big deal, especially as they look towards reducing or improving the net ads by reducing churn. So they're not going to go out of their way to cut pricing to drive organic growth on their premium brand. They are going to try to keep the customer that they have today. And I don't know how they pursue that. Maybe it's through loyalty discounts. Maybe it is through additional aggressiveness on promotions. However they plan to do it, they tell us, right? They told the market, and he confirmed it again today. They are going to be net positive for the ads by the end of the year. So far, the first 2 quarters, they have been negative. Q1, they were negative. Q2, they were less negative. We will see how they do in Q3. but they only have 2 more quarters to make a turnaround. So if they are going to be net positive for the year, they're going to have to be net positive for Q3. And he did kind of allude to that happening. He indirectly disclosed that they would have net positive ads for the third quarter. And he also said in this quarter is when they will hit the 4 million FWA ads. So they wanted to come in at the 4 to 5 million mark. He's saying at the end of this third quarter, they will already be at the 4 million mark. Big deal, right? That's a big deal. So they are going to have to guide up. They're going to have to give us, I don't know if they do a separate analyst day, whatever. They're going to have to guide a higher number. He clearly stated today, Sampath, that they have much more capacity to drive a higher FWA number. I mean, T-Mobile today is at 7 to 8 million. I mean, there's no reason why Verizon can't get to 7 to 8 million at least, right? So just wanted to point that out. So just wanted to briefly talk about that right now. We'll talk more about that in a longer video. We have Verizon's CTO, I guess, if you want to call him that, the person in charge of the network, Joe Russo, presenting tomorrow. So maybe we will get more updates tomorrow. Sampath did say the last tranche of the C-band deployment, they anticipate to complete that by the end of next year. So that's still a lot of work ahead of them, a lot of investment. But as Joe Russo told us, they're not slowing, even though CapEx came down, they're not slowing down. Some other projects are just completed, so they no longer have to invest as intensive as they once did. So very interesting, right? Price increases coming. We'll see how that further affects the churn, if any at all. And the net ads, right, to be positive, they want to improve that by lowering the churn, and that is a way on how to improve that. As I've said before with T-Mobile, when they come in at a churn similar to Verizon and they come out positive the way that they do, right? If they, like last quarter, I think their churn was like 0.81 or something like that. It was lower than Verizon's, but it was still right there. It wasn't far off. But the reason that T-Mobile was able to grow so much more than Verizon was because they grew more than they lost, right? So even though they had a churn similar, they still had much stronger volume of growth versus the people that left. Verizon, the issue that they're having when they have a little bit of a higher elevated churn like 0.85, 86, they lose those customers, but they don't bring in enough traffic to offset the loss. So that's something that they have to deal with. And I don't know if they can necessarily churn low enough to where it offsets all of the losses that are leaving, right? You have to have some type of positive organic growth to show net positive, even though you're trying to lower the churn. I mean, AT&T is coming in at 0.7. It's 0.71 or 72. I mean, I don't see Verizon being able to go lower than that. And if they want to be net positive by lowering the churn, I mean, they're going to have to lower it to like maybe 0.5, 0.4, and I don't see that happening whatsoever, especially if they keep raising price. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.